With just 2 events to go this season, the numbers were doing the talking. 6 points separated the top 4 teams. The Australians on 76, the Brits on 75, the Kiwis on 73 and the Spanish on 70. In 10 events this season, 7 teams have been on top of the podium. The first 5 events delivered 5 different winners, so it's no exaggeration to say that 2025 has been SailGP's most competitive season so far, and every reason to expect the penultimate event in Cadiz to be tight. The Spanish venue of Cadiz is well known on the SailGP circuit. The Spanish remember it well after going for a swim in front of a home crowd in 2021. The Brits bear similar scars after crashing out of the lead in the final race. And while the racetrack looked familiar this year, the fleet dynamics look very different. Gone is the season-long Australian dominance. Instead, 12 teams who can all win races. Most of them have. And then there were signs of a new order appearing. The German team had taken victory in Geneva, the Brits before that in Saint-Tropez, the French in Saznetz, Germany, and the Kiwis in Portsmouth. So in Cadiz, it was a bold person that placed their bets. The light 4 to 7 knot breeze meant that the fleet was on its big jibs and the 24-metre all-purpose wing. Below the waterline they were using the new light weather T-foils and rudders, and on board it was just 4 crew. But the real issue was the sea state, where a tricky swell looked set to make life hard for the fleet in the light airs. And come race 1, it did. The Swiss may have led off the line, but by the first bottom gate, Emirates GBR were leading, just as they squeaked ahead of the Swiss. A margin that they opened out by the next gate at the top of the course. But as this pair sailed off on their own race, the big story was the surprise tail enders, with the bottom 4 places occupied by Australia, France, New Zealand and Spain. In short, all of the British competition in the overall stakes. And while this was only one of 7 fleet races, it was a pretty interesting way to kick things off. But if it all looked a bit messy and unconventional, one skipper thought Cadiz should be simpler.
I think Cadiz, to be honest, it's quite simple. You just got to get a left turn at the bottom and you got to get a clear turn at the top. So whoever can get off the start line to get that left turn at the bottom have a good easy race. And if you end up in the pack, it just becomes a mess where you end up having to do some painful jibes and two boards in and all that stuff. So yeah, I think there's a high premium on taking a lot of risk in Cadiz to get off the start line, and we did that last year and it went well for us, or 2 years ago, and today we did the same thing.
Which is what he and his team did in race 2. Germany might have been showing that their performance from the previous event was no fluke in leading to the first mark, but by the bottom gate, Sehested and the Danes had got through. So too had the Kiwis, positions that stayed to the end with the Germans in 3rd. But it was a shocker at the back once again, with the Australians in 2nd to last. Having remembered how to pull the trigger on the start line, the Kiwis were off, leading the charge. The Australians had remembered too and were hard on their heels. But before the pair had got to the first leeward gate, the Kiwis had tripped up through a jibe and struggled to get going. It was their turn to see the back of the fleet. And after the breeze dropped slightly, there was more shuffling of the pack, which by the end saw the Australians hang on to their lead, with the Danes in 2nd and the Germans in 3rd. Behind them, the Swiss and then the British may not have made the top 3, but in among the helter-skelter results, Dylan Fletcher's team was remaining consistent. And if you were looking for an even battle in Cadiz, after 3 races, the Danes, Germans and British were all on 22 points, with the Swiss just 2 behind. The final race of the day saw yet another impressively tight start, with the Danes leading the way. The British were on their heels and the Kiwis close behind. This was a closely fought match for second and third, and in the end it was Fletcher & Co who squeaked through ahead of the Kiwis. But for the Danes it was another win, their second of the day. Perhaps Cadiz was this straightforward after all.
For me, I'm not used to do a lot of 4 people on board, and I think as a team we were like progressing the whole day, and I think it got way better like with the grinding at the end of the race. So yeah, very happy with the team performance today, and yeah, but still plenty to play tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's different kettle of fish when we're 4 up, and Han did a great job on the handles today. Really impressive stepping up the game, and yeah, there's lots of bandwidth taking up from sailing the yacht, and especially with the waves, it was a very hard day to sail the boat.
It is like on a knife edge the whole time, you know, like one drop manoeuvre or you get something slightly wrong, which is a lot easier to do when there's only 4 of you on the boat. Just everything becomes trickier, and then you add to that the waves and the puffiness of it. Yeah, you always felt like, yeah, anything could happen right up until you cross the finish line pretty much, so you just don't stop going as hard as you can until you cross the line.
You're at the back and it's really hard to find a way through. You don't know where the bad air is. You kind of see a pack move that way and you go, okay, they'll have a bit more bad air there and I'll try over here. But sometimes you think you should be clear and then you're foiling along and then you just fall out of the sky. So yeah, I mean, this many boats in that much wind, the back markers are always going to struggle.
So by the end of the day, the bold behaviour by the Danes had paid off, pushing them to the front of the leaderboard by just 1 point over the British. But there was also a close battle between the Kiwis and the Germans, who were both on 22 points. Day 2 delivered slightly more breeze, 5 to 10 knots, enough to increase the crew from 4 to 5, but the rig and the foils remained the same. The Kiwis were first off the line, and held off the Australians most of the way around the course, until the Spanish found a way through on the second downwind leg. Until now, Diego Botin's team had had a dreadful series in front of a huge home crowd. Now it was their time to take some glory, the Kiwis in second and the Australians in third. With each start the intensity was building and the margins reducing. This time it was the French who led the way to win the race, with the Germans finishing second. And at the final mark, the Kiwis nipped inside the Brits to take third. Things were now starting to heat up on the overall points. The Brits were leading on just 44 points, the Danes were in second on 41, and the Kiwis on 39, with the Germans just 1 point behind and 38. For many, the most exciting race is the penultimate race in a SailGP weekend, and this one had all the makings. Having been towards the back of the pack all weekend, the Canadians, French and Brazilian teams made a charge for it in the final race. All 3 occupied the top 3 places, with the Brazilians winning the race. But what set this race apart was seeing the Danes crash out of their spot in the final, finishing 12th and missing by 1 point. With the Australians down in a lowly 7th, this meant that the 3 finalists were Great Britain, Germany in the finals for the second time in a row, and New Zealand. Finals can be one-sided affairs. Not this one. The Brits got a penalty in the pre-start. The Kiwis got the best start but left the door open to the British as they went to defend their position against the Germans. The Brits were now back in it, and over the next 2 laps kept splitting from the Kiwis. On the final upwind leg, the Brits were trailing, but having set himself up to take the inside on the final mark if he could, Dylan Fletcher rolled the dice one last time, and it worked.
Cross your will. I will. Come on, man!
We said before the start of the race it's going to be difficult and there's plenty of opportunities to come back. We'd been pulling back through all day, so we just kept pushing, and it was a great battle with the black foils. They had an amazing day as well, so I'm just happy to come out on top.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a really good time, other than Abu Dhabi, to get the win. And just, you know, the leaderboard obviously is looking a bit different to how it did when we entered the weekend, and really good for us going into that final weekend. So yeah, we're just super happy. I think everyone's exhausted. It's been a really tough couple of days racing wise, you know, really physical for me a lot of the weekend, and just really finessey, trying to sail the boat, keep it up in the air and stay on the foils. So yeah, everyone's feeling pretty tired but very happy.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely happy to take away second. It was a bit of a mixed feelings crossing the finish line, but yeah, I think we were so eager after Geneva to just get straight back into racing. So yeah, there's definitely a good feeling with the team right now, and yeah, we'll have to wait for that season final now and to the build up into that, but yeah, it's been a good weekend.
This was more than just an event win for the British, more than just leading the season. This now meant that Emirates GBR stood a very good chance of making it through to the grand final in Abu Dhabi on the 29th and 30th of November. And if you're still wondering just how competitive this season has been, the British are now the first team to have won 3 events this season. That from a list of 11 venues. And that's a lot of other winners. Race and SailGP and you're going to get wet. Very wet. And the chances are you're also going to have a gale in your face as you run across a fast moving platform, which is why Zhik has spent so much time working with 4 SailGP teams. The design loop is fast moving and intense in a season that's much the same. Lighter, faster, more responsive. You could easily be talking about the boat, but for Zhik it's the clothing, and there's been plenty of development. Team New Zealand has been using the prototype Ulex suits. The integrated Ulex foam is a plant-based material made from naturally sourced rubber to replace the toxic production process of neoprene. There's also a new 2-piece female wetsuit that's been in development, along with a new lightweight wetsuit due for launch in 2026. Because advanced though these items are, Zhik are ensuring that they make their way to the heart of sailing, however fast you go. In the racing world, weight counts, and when it comes to paint, Nautics know that every micron matters. In the mini transat scene, some of the top teams have been speaking highly of Nautics products and the technical support that's available, and the word is filtering through the fleet. Ombre Hassan chose Nautics for the refit of her Mini 650 ahead of this year's race, and has been pleased with the results, especially with the anti-fouling. But Nautics' reputation spreads further into the offshore world. Aina Bowser worked closely with Nautics' technical support when she was refinishing her Class 40, ahead of the Transat Café L'Or. It was a complex project on a tight timeline, but according to the Spanish sailor, the balance between performance and protection was just what she was after. There are some technical collaborations that work and keep on working. The relationship between Reckman and Nautor's Swan is a good example. Reckman have been supplying sail handling systems to the Finnish company for more than 50 years. In that time, furling systems have become more than a convenience. Today, modern swans, like the 128, are designed to perform across a wide range of conditions. Changing gear through the huge sail plan means effective and reliable furling systems. The code sail furler for the Swan 128 is a new design, engineered to cope with the extreme Cunningham loads and eliminate the free-flying tack swivel. But it still needs to be able to tension the stay and luff of the sail to the deck. The idea was to create a stay tensioning system without a hydraulic ram in the furler, but with 500mm of adjustment, while still being capable of operating at high speeds with solid reliability. It's hardly surprising that the relationship is a close one. When Balance Catamarans set out to create the perfect cruising yacht, they knew that long-range speed and comfort at sea were essentials. Fast and fun with plenty of deck space and internal volume. Simple. The result is the new Balance 580 that will ghost along in 5 knots of breeze, or that will slice up wind at 9 to 12 knots in 16 knots, thanks to the 210 square metre sail plan. Crack sheets and she'll hit the wind speed on a reach with ease. A carbon reinforced full epoxy construction, along with slender hulls and dual dagger boards, are key ingredients to her performance. But she's easy to handle too, with a deck layout that's been carefully laid out to allow short-handed sailing. Below decks, her ultra lightweight foam core joinery more than ticks the boxes marked performance and luxury. And when it comes to the delivery, the trip from Cape Town to each boat's new home provides the perfect confirmation of what their cats are for.